Hi everybody, it's Miss Jessica from the Tech at Lowell Branch Library, here to share another STEM activity with you today. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about DNA, genes, and dominant and recessive traits. We get DNA from our mom and our dad. That DNA carries genes, which then turns into the traits you see on the outside, like the fact that I have light brown hair and brown eyes, or you could even get genes that cause you to have traits like freckles or dimples. For most things, we get one gene from our mom and one gene from our dad, which come together to create our genotype. That genotype determines our phenotype or trait, what you see on the outside, like brown hair. Some genes are what we call dominant, and others are what we call recessive. For a dominant gene, you only need to get one of that gene from one of your parents in order for that trait to show up. For a recessive gene, you need to get that gene from both of your parents in order for that trait to show up. So let's say that the gene for having brown hair is a dominant gene, while the gene for having red hair is a recessive gene. And I inherit the gene for having brown hair from my dad and the gene for having red hair from my mom. That means my genotype ends up with one dominant and one recessive gene. Therefore, my phenotype, or trait that I end up having, ends up being the dominant one, because the dominant one takes over the recessive gene and shows up over the recessive gene. Therefore, I have brown hair and not red hair. In order to have red hair, I would have to get the recessive gene for red hair from my dad and the recessive gene for red hair from my mom, so that there was no dominant gene in my genotype to overtake the recessive genes. Keeping this information in mind, we're going to do a fun little activity today that you can also do yourself at home, where we're going to experiment with some pretend alien DNA and dominant and recessive genes. What you're going to need to do this activity are some printouts from sciencebuddies.com. I will leave the link down below in the video, and you do have to create an account on sciencebuddies.com to print these out, but it's a free account. You also need a pencil, a coin, some crayons and markers, and some just blank paper. The first handout you get from sciencebuddies.com is our alien genotype table. And this shows you the genotypes of our mom alien and our dad alien. The letters represent the genes that each of them have. The capital letter is a dominant gene, the lowercase letter is a recessive gene. So if you'll notice, the mom alien and the dad alien have the exact same genotypes. They each have one dominant and one recessive gene. This means that the dominant genes are what's going to show up on our mom and dad alien. The next handout you get from sciencebuddies.com is called the Alien Phenotype Table. This is where you can write down the trait that they have. So I went ahead and wrote down that mom and dad alien both have all dominant traits. And the next thing you're going to want to do after you fill out your handout is create or draw mom and dad alien. You can make them out of construction paper, or you can just draw them. I went ahead and just drew my mom alien and dad alien. They're both green with round bodies and round noses. They have no visible hair or ears. They both have 2 arms with 3 fingers and 2 legs with 2 toes. And now we want to play around with the genes and see which genes they pass on to the baby alien and create our baby alien. In order to do this, this is where you need your coin. So I've got my coin here, and for each trait, you're going to flip the coin twice. If the coin lands heads up, that means they get the dominant trait. If the coin lands tails up, that means they get the recessive trait. You flip it twice for each trait because they're getting one gene from mom and one gene from dad. And you're going to end up flipping the coin about 20 times. I moved my camera so you could see what I was doing a little bit better, and I'm going to go ahead and start flipping my coin to determine the genes my baby alien gets from mom and dad. And so first I'm going to start with the body shape traits, and we're going to flip the coin. Oh, that landed on heads. So that is a capital S for a dominant gene for body shape. And we're going to flip it one more time for the other parent. Oh, it landed on tails this time, so that means they got the recessive trait. And I'm going to write a lowercase s for that. I'm going to keep going through the rest of these. Now that I've finished flipping my coins and I have the genotype for my baby alien, I want to grab my phenotype table again so that I can write the trait that the baby alien is going to end up having. Now remember, if you have a capital letter at all, that represents a dominant trait, and therefore that trait will be the one that the baby alien ends up with. So for my first one, I got a capital S and a lowercase s. The capital S is the round dominant trait. So for that, my baby alien is going to be round. The next one, I have the same thing, a capital C and a lowercase c. The capital C represents a green skin color, so my baby alien is going to be green. For eyes, I have a lowercase y and another lowercase y. That's two recessive genes, and the recessive gene is for two smaller eyes. So my baby alien is going to have two smaller eyes. I'm going to keep filling out my phenotype table. So once you have your phenotype table filled out, you can take that information and draw your baby alien. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So here's how my baby alien turned out. As you can see, they did inherit the recessive genes for having a triangular nose, two smaller eyes, and some visible hair. So they do look mostly like mom and dad, but there are a few small differences. If you do this activity yourself, be sure to share with us what your baby alien turned out looking like and whether or not they ended up looking more like their mom and dad or less like their mom and dad. And the fun thing about this activity is that you can do it again and again, and your baby alien is probably going to look different just about every single time. If you would like to learn more about DNA and dominant and recessive genes, be sure to check the link down below, because that Science Buddies link will not only take you to where you can grab the handouts to do this activity yourself, but they also have some great extra information on their website to go with this activity. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about genes and DNA today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.